Hello and welcome to the Eat to Grow podcast. I am your host, Kelly Igo, and co-host
Kate.
And today we have the lovely Raven, TM athlete, badass nurse, and soon to be nurse practitioner on today to share with us kind of what her history has been with athletics and bodybuilding. And we're going to talk a little bit about her relationship with food and body image as she is heading into a show. She's actually in contest prep right now, and kind of hear a little bit about her athletic history and what that also happens to impact her mindset in terms of the mentality of an athlete. So Raven, we're so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love that I get to be on you guys' podcast. So cool. And I love that I can share my story because I feel like a lot of people will resonate with it. I'm seeing that a lot of bodybuilders are ex-athletes and they have some of the similar struggles I have been through.
Absolutely. Yes. And we appreciate your, vulnerability and willingness to share with us today. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So Raven, tell us where you're from.
Okay, so I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, born and raised there. Lived there all my life. All my family still lives there, actually. So ever since I was like little, I've been in sports. It was kind of like a priority to my dad that all of his kids played sports. It didn't matter. So off the rip, I think I was like 5 or 6, I started playing basketball. So I started with basketball and I was too fast and too uncoordinated. So
what a problem to have.
Too fast. Yeah, right.
That's literally what they said. And they're like, maybe you should try track. And then I was still just like, no, like, why would I run? Like, who wants to just run? Like, what is the objective here? Mm-hmm. So I was like, no. So went to gymnastics, did that. I did not like the brutal schedule, and it was just like it was just so physically exhausting. So then I did cheer. I literally moved from sport to sport. I was like, I'm finding something and it won't be track. Yes. Did cheer. Then everyone who did cheer ran track, and I was little, so I wanted to do what my friends were doing. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, whatever. I was like, okay, mom, sign me up. So they happened to sign me up, and then I ran summer track and I just did really well. I was like a little girl running times that like high school girls were running, like I don't even know, like without effort, without technique. I just ran in a race and I won, and I beat some of the middle school and high school girls, and everybody was like, it was crazy. So then I was like, oh, maybe this should be my career. Like maybe this is what I should do with my life. Yeah. So then my parents sort of got everything going. They got me like a trainer, like athletic trainer, like a track coach, like all the things. Oh. And so I started training all year. Before school, my dad would take me to a gym. I would lift weights. My mom would make me a specific breakfast. They would pack me a specific lunch. And then after school, I'd go to track practice, and then I'd go home and do my homework, repeat. That was kind of what I would do. And then in high school, things got pretty serious because I started getting letters my freshman year. And then my dad did the craziest thing ever. They pulled me out of school and put me on homebound so that I could go on official visits and just do track all day.
Wow. Very revolved around track.
Our lives, my mom, she's amazing. She quit her job so that I could run track during the week. She would drive me around the country so I could just run. And our family revolved around my track career, which is amazing. I owe them so much. It was my brother sometimes had to not go to a game or something so that we could go to my track meet as a family. It was a big thing, and I'm just so grateful.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I feel super blessed. Yeah, and then I ran in high school. I did really good. My first year, I did not win state. I got second, which is still pretty good. I was running against some seniors who are now they're Olympic athletes. They're actually going to the Paris 2024 Olympics.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a lot of my friends. So yeah, I won state 3 years in a row. And then I got recruited by a bunch of schools, but I was really picky because I wanted a good education, because I thought at that point I wanted to be pre-med, because I didn't think track would be a sustainable life career. And
Sure.
so I ended up going to a smaller school to start off for like a year. And that's kind of when like things with my relationship with food just went off like the deep end. Like, yeah. So if you want me to dive into that, I will.
Yeah, honestly, if you feel comfortable, we can dive right into that. I also just want to say right before we do, like your accomplishments within track is absolutely amazing. And to hear the support that your family had is so impressive because I feel like, it can be hit or miss. Either the family's all in on it or, maybe they're a little bit not as supportive. And to hear that, your family went all in for you on that is so amazing. And you're so deserving of that. So that's really incredible. And I would love to talk more about just kind of what was coming up for you at that time in your life when you were engaged in athletics, how that was impacting your relationship with food. And we'll go from there.
So I guess in high school, I didn't really I didn't weigh myself. We didn't do DEXA scan. Like I would just train.
Yeah.
My parent, like it was like a revolving system. Like it was awesome. Like I had this like online track trainer who actually lives in New Jersey. He would like send my parents workouts. They would put me through these workouts. He would send me a specific diet and I would just eat whatever. Like it was fine. It was like it was crazy. It would be like no cheese, no this, no that. It was crazy. But I didn't care. Like I just wanted to run fast. So go to college. I don't have that anymore. I don't have my mom making my meals like, hey, your breakfast today is this. Like I made it. Like I packed your lunch. This is dinner. So you get to college and it's hard because there's all these, like we had like a student athlete cafeteria and like it's healthy, but it's not. And so I struggled with making good decisions. I would have teammates who would eat like whatever, but then I'd have like coaches on my back and dietitians like, oh, well, you need to eat this to fuel your body and this and this. And like, we need to eat this so that our DEXA has these results. So then I was like, oh crap, like we have to get our body fat percentage taken. So then I was like, and then I started becoming friends with people who were also kind of struggling, like weighed themselves a lot and talked about like being lighter so you could run faster. And these were also like high performing athletes. So I was like, shoot, like if that's what they're doing, then I need to get like my nutrition together. So it was just, I don't even know what happened. One day I had a meeting with our dietitian and she was amazing. Honestly, none of this is her fault. Like she guided me to make great decisions. It was just like peer pressures and pressures I put on myself that led to this. Like we would go to track meets and they would like feed us like cater food. I would literally one day, I remember this, and this is when I knew it was a serious problem, but I just like hid it from everyone. I would like plan out what I was going to be allowed to eat at the track meets. I mean, crazy stuff. I would call the hotel and be like, yo, like, what do you have for breakfast? Like, what snacks do you have? It was nuts. Like, yeah. So I would like have like a Google Doc of what I was going to eat and everything. So I just knew. And I did it to be prepared so that I knew what I was going to eat. But it became unhealthy because it would get to the point where I would be like, oh shoot, like if I eat a banana and berries and toast, that's probably a lot of carbs. Like maybe like I won't be like light enough. Maybe I'll feel heavy when I run. So it would get to the point where I would always eat protein, always. But I would like skip out on like carbs, and you need carbs to fuel your body to run. So I would just be like, okay, breakfast will be like egg whites and spinach. That's good, solid. Lunch will be, sometimes I wouldn't even eat lunch because I knew we would have to run and I didn't want to feel sick, and we would have weights and I knew we were going to weigh in. And we honestly got body DEXA scans way too often. I think that was a part of the issue.
So question, like I can imagine, some sort of like DEXA scan to assess like bone density of the athletes. Like I can see that. But it sounds like they really focused a lot on your body fat percentage as well, like in terms of the assessment. What do you think the point of that was? Did they try to like keep you guys like at a certain percentage because it would be better for your speed?
I think like we had like, it was hard at this school I was at before I went to Baylor. It was more so like, I think it came from a good place. I think a lot of people in college will come and eat whatever they want. I think it was just to like help make sure people are on track and stuff like that. I think that's all that it was, because I don't think many people had a problem with it because I would say things to like my teammates and they were unfit, like they didn't care. And so I don't know. I think and honestly, when I think about it, it really wasn't that often. But since I was like so disordered, I was always focusing on that and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, question that just came up as you're chatting. Did they ever do any sort of like screening for disordered eating or eating disorder as part of the athletic program?
Oh yeah, all the time. But like I mean, I'm pretty smart. So I knew what I was doing was an issue. And
Yeah.
so I was never gonna portray that because I knew because I had a friend who she'd like told on herself and like it was not allowed to run and had to do which was good. Like she had to do all this like therapy
Yeah.
and she had to gain weight and get her cycle back. But I was like, oh, like that will happen to me. I'm on a full scholarship. Like I've got to run. Like I don't have time for that. So I was just like, I just wouldn't tell anyone.
Absolutely.
And so I was like very good at keeping it a secret. Like I don't even think, I think my friends knew that I was like struggling, but they didn't think it was that serious. Cause like at the time, everyone who's running is like skinny and thin, and I still had visible muscle. So I didn't look that bad, and I was very good at hiding it. Like I hid it from almost everyone. If I don't even think I told a single person that I was struggling because I knew someone would probably tell. I
Yeah.
didn't know how this would affect track. Like track was my life at this point. That's all I wanted to do was run. So if I couldn't run, like I was like, my life will be over. So they screened us, and our dietitian was amazing. Like that lady is great. Like she's awesome. And I learned a lot from her. I just wasn't listening. You know what I mean?
You weren't ready to listen at that time.
Yeah.
It was like the information was there. You knew she was like a good person to lean on, but at this time, Raven was doing her own thing and she was, set on that. And I think, even to say like that wasn't really Raven, that was the disordered eating, it was the eating disorder. It's a different part of yourself. And I think where you have this self-awareness that you knew that you were struggling, but you did your best to kind of hide that from everybody else, I think just goes to show that so many people are likely in the same boat. A lot of people that do struggle with their relationship with food, you probably wouldn't even know it. And if they're not looking the part, because there's always this image of like what an eating disorder is. Most people will picture this like smaller body, frail kind of aesthetic.
Yes.
And that's not always the case. It's actually very rarely the case. About 94% of disordered eating and eating disorders is going to be in a normal body or even a larger body. There's not always can't really look to see an eating disorder.
Yeah, I wonder if I can show you guys. If I can like if you can, you probably can't see this, but like you wouldn't think you see this athlete, you see all the, you're not gonna think,
Yeah.
you're not gonna think that. I mean, because and it wasn't like all the time. I would have phases. Like I would like there'd be some times where I would eat whatever I want and I would not feel guilty. But that was usually on the weekends if we didn't have a track meet when we're partying. I think the problem was because I had so much support at home, and which is a good thing. And because my mom and my trainer and my parents helped me so much, I got to college and there's all this autonomy and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was sort of overthinking.
Yeah.
So that was the issue there. So it was in it, and that's why I left that school. And it wasn't anything against them. And I should have handled it a lot better. Like when I transferred, I did not handle it properly. And I wasn't fully honest because I didn't want to, I guess, come to truth with it that like I have a problem.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You were just kind of trying to project. You're like, okay, it's just not working for me. It's nothing I'm doing. It's what you guys are doing and all these things. In reality, it was just what you were going through, and you felt that if you went to a different school, it would help you mentally way better.
Yeah. And then, well, I transferred to Baylor, and I will say the only, like, I guess, like, there's different schools that have different resources, different money. Baylor, phenomenal school. The other school was great too, but Baylor has so many, and they had like this student athlete cafeteria, and there were so many options. And I had so many teammates who were so good at fueling their bodies. And we had a really good dietitian. He was amazing. Like he would always be like, if you're juiceless, you're useless. So you gotta eat. Like it was just like little things like that I'd be like, okay, like I get it. And like my roommates always make sure they're having like this huge pre-run breakfast. Right. After they would eat, they would go to brunch, and everything was about eating and fueling your body. Like I swear there was a sign everywhere that said fueling your body. And so nutrition was more focused on there. And I think it's because there was a lot of athletes there that had eating disorders and stuff like that. It was such like a thing that to fuel your body. Like once I got there, I was like learning about like different foods and different carb sources. I changed my major at this point to nutrition and exercise physiology, and I learned so much. And I think that helped changing my major and learning about it. Mm-hmm. And we also, I don't think we ever took my weight. Okay. And we did those scans, but they didn't tell us numbers. They didn't tell us anything. We didn't know. Yeah. So we didn't know if it was good or bad. They'd just be like, you look great. You're doing great. Like, we didn't know. And like, I never took my weight, and it was just, and everyone sort of like looked like me there at my other school. Everyone was like taller. And so when you're taller, you look leaner and stuff. But a lot of my teammates at Baylor were like kind of short like me and like dense. And so I didn't feel like I had to like keep up and like, you know, be skinny, because like I felt like I really fit in.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's great that they didn't show you any weights or anything, so you couldn't hyperfixate on that. And I think that's extremely important for a lot of people. I mean, I know with my clients when I'm doing coaching, if they say no, if they were like, oh, I have somewhat trouble looking at the number, I said, then we can absolutely take that out. You don't have to do that at all if you don't want to. They're like, oh, maybe like at some point. I'm like, let's start with not doing it, because if you're feeling great and someone tells you, oh, you look fantastic, and you're not having that number to really focus on, you're going to be like, oh, great. They think I look fantastic. I feel fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. Like I didn't even know weights, no measurement. And if they did it, just since I wasn't told, it didn't matter. And I felt good because I was like nourishing my body. Like they fed us. I mean, they would have like crab legs, sushi, pasta bars. And so it was great. And everyone was like just eating, and they would like take big containers back to their like apartments. I'm like, okay, like me too. And then I had phenomenal roommates who just looked at food so differently, and that helped a lot. And they would always be like, oh, like we should go eat. And at my other school, I don't think if we did go eat, it wasn't the same. Like they focused on like, oh, like we should have a really big brunch after we eat to like recover, yada, yada. And we got more like recovery snacks, and we always had like classes with our dietitian. Like he was awesome. I don't think he's still there anymore, but he was freaking amazing. He would always have classes at the end of every weight session, just educating us. And it was like a big thing. And then I was also studying it, so it just became second nature. And then when I started eating, was running a lot faster. Like, of course. Yeah. And then I was like, wow. So it does not matter how much I weigh, or it doesn't matter how little I am. And at this point, I was like probably the biggest I had ever been. Like I had a lot of muscle, was running fast. Things were going great. Like we won the Big 12 championship. We went to nationals. Like, I mean, I was doing great because I was fueling my body, and it was awesome. So environment is everything. But I think some schools not having resources is hard, and giving athletes, especially freshmen, autonomy hard, especially when you have the autonomy with no guidance. And I think that was my problem. Like I just needed guidance.
Absolutely. No, that's such a great point to bring up, is just when you get into college, there is this new sense of autonomy that most people don't have, or maybe to the degree that they now have in college. And especially when you're an athlete, and especially an endurance athlete, you are predisposed to that disordered eating disorder behavior, because number one, big life change, you know, people are usually looking for a sense of control. And I don't know if that resonates with you at all, with, you know, your own relationship with food. But I know for some individuals, even just the big life change of going into college can be really impactful on that. I would be so curious to hear your thoughts, Raven, where you mentioned this environment where it sounds like the first school that you went to, you know, the fellow, classmates and things, they weren't really focusing on fueling their body. Was there a lot more like diet culture related talk in that environment when you were present, like people trying to lose weight, fit certain body fat parameters, or not so much? Maybe that's what they modeled, was just their eating behaviors were lesser.
Yeah, it was sort of, so like, I'm trying to think, there was like a situation that happened that was a trigger. One of my friends, I think, needed to lose weight, or was told she was overweight. And I thought in my head that we looked really similar. I mean, we were eating the same, we were roommates, we're eating the same things. So then I was, I guess, self-projecting that. And I was like, oh shoot. So like, maybe if she's gaining too much weight, maybe I am. And so that's what kind of did it for me. And then like we would like go grocery shopping and we would like buy like some of the things, the thoughts we would have like, oh, like we can't have Alfredo, like that's too much fat, or like I'm not eating that. Just things like that. It wasn't so much intentional. It was just none of us had any prior education, and we were just trying to do what we had to do to be on the team and be a part of the team and be successful. Because when you're a freshman, it's pretty rough, especially being an athlete. You kind of have to come in and make a name for yourself. I mean, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. And so it's rough. So I feel like, but like the coaches and everything, they were great. I think it was just the fact that I had never weighed myself. I had never, measurement scanned, seen a dietitian. Cause like I said, my parents would be like, hey, like they would give me options, but they say, hey, like, do you want a bagel, or do you want like oatmeal, or do you want like a bunch of fruit? And so I just be like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? So I would never think about those things. So when it was time to make my own decisions every day, all the time, and they had amazing food there. I was like stressed. And then I had teammates who didn't really eat healthy. And so I think I was just in my head. A lot of it was just self stuff. I had anxiety too, so that played a role.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's going to definitely resonate with a lot of people. And I think we see it a lot with athletes, kind of go through that. You think you're doing something really right by following this way of nutrition or trying to manipulate your body in this way. And it's like not always the case. To your point, when you started eating more and really focusing on fueling, you were running faster, you were performing better. And so I think that's a really important takeaway, is that less is not always better. It's not always more. And I think that having that mentality of fueling for performance, no matter what your body looks like, because you can be fast at different body types. And I'm sure that's hopefully a conversation that's opening up more in sports. But I know that for a lot of people, there's that sports ideal physique. And to your point where you were like, well, there are some really like skinny, tall people that I was, competing with. And like that made me maybe second guess my body type. But then when you were in an environment where your body type maybe was similar to other, classmates and things, it helped you to feel more secure in your body type for your sport.
And I remember when I first got there, everyone would be like, oh my God, you're tiny. So that also flipped the switch. I was like, oh, because I thought, foolishly enough, I'm so silly. Thinking about this now, like being a bodybuilder, I was not fat or too big. I don't even, thinking about the thoughts I was having, crazy. Because like what I was weighing then, I'm like in prep, and that's like my weight now. And I'm like, just no. And I had a lot less muscle. I remember someone was like, you are so tiny, like you need to eat. And I'm like, really? Like that made me feel good, because felt the opposite. So I was like, okay, like maybe I can eat and it'll be okay. And I think still when I got there, I was still a little hesitant. Cool. I remember the first practice, I was just so scared. I was so nervous to eat something and like be sick. I did not eat or drink any Gatorade. And we practiced at 3 p.m. in the Texas heat. We ran the entire football stadium. I about had a heat stroke. And the trainer was like, what'd you eat today? I was like, nothing. He was like, girl, what? He was like, we got to get you with the dietitian. And that's when every practice, Raven, did you eat? Raven, did you eat? Raven, did you eat? Did you eat? Like, here's some honey stingers. Who did you eat? So I always had like that accountability, like, hey, did you eat? Like, you need to eat. Make sure you eat. And everyone would just be like housing the honey stingers and bananas. So I'd be like, okay, I'll do that too. So it's kind of like, it was like following people, but in a good way. Cause then I felt like better. I was fueling my body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like monkey see, monkey do, but in both situations. You know what I mean? So like if you see all of your support system doing this at this other school, you're like, oh, I have to follow that. But now you see this other support system that's so much better for you. You fit so much better in this environment. And they're like, oh, this is actually okay. Okay, this is, and then you see that results after eating regularly, fueling your body. And you're like, oh, so this is the right way to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So it helped a lot. I took I think I took the bad habits I had as a freshman, and I sort of like made them good habits. For example, so when I got to Baylor, when I started getting into my nutrition classes and learning about properly fueling your body, I was able to I would still plan, but it wouldn't be as toxic. For example, I would be like, okay, well, we have a home meet and I run at 9. So I need to get up at 6 and make sure I have breakfast. And then when I go to the track, I need to have a pre-workout snack, a little carb, so that when I'm sitting in the heat, I'm not tired. And then I'll bring another snack after my race and like a Gatorade. Like I would plan in a good way. And then my friends would start doing that. They'd be like, oh wait, I should bring a snack too, or that's a good idea. And so it would turn into something really good and beneficial for other people. Mm-hmm. And so it turned out to be like a really good thing.
Absolutely. I love that. I think it just really reinforces how important your environment is to all of your behaviors, not just your eating behaviors, but the way that you even view yourself as a person. And I think I have some clients right now that are working through their relationship with food, and we have open conversation about, toxic friends they have or family members that have very intensive like diet culture related thoughts or disordered eating habits. And we hold space and kind of talk about how that impacts them, but it impacts their rate of recovery and healing of their own relationship. So I'm really happy that was a positive when you transferred school. That's really amazing. And I'm so glad you had a positive experience with the dietitian. That's always great to hear.
Oh, those are vital. In schools that don't have them, like it's just bad because like you don't, especially a sport like running where you're already predisposed to that, like you need one. Like I think it's super important, and like your environment's everything. But I will say when I would come home, I feel like my parents would know something is up. Wow. Because like they would cook food and I'd be like, I'm not eating that. Like, that's unhealthy. And my dad would be like, he would just be like, what do you mean? Like, we made fried chicken and mac and cheese. You don't want to eat that? And I'm like, I'm not putting that in my body. And that's when they'd be like, my dad would be like, are you okay? Like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, but like, that's not gonna, I was so toxic. I was like, that's not gonna fuel my body. So I'm not touching that. And it'd be like Thanksgiving dinner. Like, and it's just crazy because now, like in prep, I'm like, I would absolutely house some fried chicken and some.
I love that. That honestly brings me into kind of like my next topic that I want to chat with you about in terms of how you got into bodybuilding. And we'll kind of talk about the differences in your relationship with food, with bodybuilding versus maybe running. And yeah, what got you into bodybuilding?
After college, I could have still ran after college. The times I ran my senior year, they qualified me for like Olympic trials. And if I would have trained harder and took it more seriously and I wasn't so burnt out, I could have pursued a professional career. But I had been running for so long, all year long, wouldn't really go home for summer, like track. I was tired. Like even senior year, my athletic trainer was like, I think you're just done. Like the last meet, I wasn't even sad. At nationals, I was like, peace. I was done. And then I got home and I would like work out. Like I would still go for runs because I loved to run, and I would do like sprint drills. I didn't want to see a weight room. I didn't want to do anything sport wise because I was just so tired of, because I would have to get up at 5 and lift, and then we would have stuff all day. I just was sick of that. And I wanted to live my life. And it became bad because in college, I couldn't really party like that because we traveled every weekend. So after college, it was awful. I started drinking a lot, partying a lot. Like it just wasn't healthy, eating like crap. And then I started gaining weight and I didn't notice it, but my family did. And this came from a good place. I'm glad that they said like, hey, like my mom goes, I think you should start going to the gym. And I was like, oh shit. Like that means like that must be bad if my mom said something, because she's very careful. And then my dad was like, yeah, like, do you think like you want to work out again? And I was like, and then my brother just said it because he's bold. He's like, yeah, you're gaining a lot of weight. And I was like, but honestly, that helped. I started going to the gym, lifting weights, just like for fun. Then I started my fitness Instagram and I'm like, ooh, this is fun. And then while I was working as a nurse, I would be so obsessed with working out, but in a good way. And then I would start like my coworkers would be like, oh, like you should train me. And I'd be like, no, like that. I just didn't want to do any of that. Mm-hmm. And then one day I was like, you know what, whatever. Cause this girl kept asking me like, will you please like be my coach? And I'm like, fine. Cause I had the certification. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And then I did that. I started coaching her and I'm like, wait, this is fun. Mm-hmm. So then I started like growing my page more. I met a lot of like bikini competitors around the Atlanta area. And I'm like, oh, like bodybuilding seems fun. But then I would see them tracking like all their food. I was like, I cannot, like, I have already been through the ringer with an eating disorder, and I thought bodybuilding was disordered. I was like, I am not. I had this bad perception about it. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's disordered. Those people are disordered. Who tracks everything that they eat? Like, I was like, I don't want to get that skinny. I didn't know anything about the different divisions. So I was like, no. And then one day, tore my Achilles running.
No.
Yeah. I was running, and then all you heard was like a gunshot. It was so loud. Yes.
Oh, I can like feel that pain right now. I don't know what it feels like, but I'm just such an empath that I can like literally
your foot fall, like my foot detached from my leg. Like it was like boom. Like the people in the gym were like, "Are you good?" And then I started limping. They were like, "Uh-oh." But I was in denial like crazy. And I'm a nurse too. I'm like, "I'm fine." So I went to work the next day, and the doctors were like, "Why are you limping?" And I was like, "Don't worry about that." And they're like, "Oh, let's scan it." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Like, and then they're like, "Your Achilles is torn in half." I was like,
just completely torn in half.
And I was at work walking. I was limping though. It was bad. Like the patients, like parents were looking at me like, "What?
Is this nurse good?
Is she a patient? Does she need help?"
Yeah, it was bad, but I was in denial. But my mom kept telling me, "I think you tore your Achilles." But I was like, "What does she know? She's not a doctor." And so
she has a mom though. She knows.
Mom should know.
Right. My parents told me I ruptured it as soon as but whatever. I ended up having to get surgery, and I was down bad because you're on this scooter for like, God, 3 months. Then you're in a boot for 4 months. And it was only so much that you can do. Like you couldn't do anything. Like I could lift upper body. My leg and calf atrophied so bad. I could not even get up the steps. It was so bad. And during that point, it was weird. Like all my For You page was just like all bodybuilding. And then I would see it and I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. And then I would meet people at the gym that were getting into it. I was like, okay, like that looks fun. So once I was all healed up, I found a coach. And then I was like, ooh, like, this seems like fun. I want to do it. So I signed up, started working with him. He was amazing. Just like not the right environment for me. And I think as I got into it and things got real, started overthinking again, like overthinking the free meals and the diet culture versus that coaching versus the coaching I have now is a world of a difference. Like it's just I can think verbiage, not so much like bad intentions, but verbiage, like saying that like, oh, like we don't need to do that. Or, if we eat that, we can get fat and things like that. And I was just like, oh God, no. And then I got into this huge bulk. It was insane. And I was just gaining a lot of weight. And I was like, how is this bodybuilding? Like, I was like, I feel like I'm getting like so fat. I wasn't fat. I was just like putting on muscle tissue, but I couldn't handle it and didn't have the proper support I needed. And I would always look at free meals. Like I would just be so worried that like my free meal was because they'd be like, don't go overboard on free meals. So then I'd be so like laser focused.
Yeah.
And then I would end up being so over it that for my free meals, I would probably straight up. I mean, my friend said she wouldn't call it a binge, but I feel like it is a binge. It would be a binge. Like I would eat so much.
Yeah.
Because I was just like tired of it. And then one day I was at my friend's house and I just like lost it. I just started crying. I was like, it was a week before I was starting prep. I'm like, I can't do this. In December of last year, I was like, I need like a different environment. Like the coach was great, just not the right coach for me.
Yeah.
And then my friend Faith, who went to Baylor with me, was like, oh, like you should reach out to Justin. And I was like, I don't know, because like he's friends with my coach now. And I bet it's going to be like the same sort of thing. Like, and like, I was like, I bet he's one of those like hardcore bros. Like, we're not eating that. Like, I was like, no, I just had this false perception. So I just hopped on. I messaged him one Sunday when I was like down bad.
Yeah.
And he replied like in 1 minute. And he was like, oh, like I can call you now. And I was like, okay. And my mom was with me because I was just having a hard time. And it was just everything that I needed to hear. And since starting with him, like having free meals, and he puts things in my meal plan that I enjoy, like dark chocolate and yogurt. And I eat like so much almond butter. And my relationship with food is like great now. And I know sometimes I'll message you like, oh my God, I ate a whole crumble cookie. Because, we'll get like calorie guidelines and stuff. And I'm like, well, I ate the whole cookie.
That's all right.
Yeah, because I would feel like bad, but now like I'm just like it's okay, like
Mm.
because I've learned that like my body's really just gonna use the food for fuel. It's not gonna I'm not gonna like lose progress. Like it's fine. And then I'll tell Justin, he'll be like, no, no, don't change anything. Like the free meals are working, they're doing what they need.
Yeah.
Even yesterday, he's like, okay, let's check in again on Friday. I said, I'm having my free meal on Thursday. And he goes, I know it's fine. I was like, I'm having dessert, bro. And he was like, yes, ma'am, that's fine. I was like, okay. So it's things like that where
Yeah.
it's like whatever. And it's helping my friends with free meals too, because we'll all go out together and they'll be like, I'm getting a salad. And I'm like, you're not getting a salad. I'm like, you might as well eat your meal prep. I'm like, this is a free meal. Like, eat something you crave so that during the week, you don't feel the need to like go off plan or eat something you don't need to. I was like, just like satisfy your craving. And that's helping them look at their free meals differently. Like, my friend told me the other day, she's like, I love taking free meals with you because like you'll eat what you want and you'll be like, if I want a cookie, I'm having it. Or if I want these wings, I'm gonna eat it. It's not the end of the world. And they're like, it's just like helps so much. Like my friend had a show. Justin told her to eat a burger like the day before.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like put her in a chokehold to get her to eat this burger.
I hear you.
Yeah, she didn't. She was like worried about her digestion. I was like, he would not do that to you if he knew it would mess you up. I was like, just eat the burger. And I'm like, it makes you feel better. I'll take my free meal now and I will eat a burger with you. Like, and she ate it and she's like, I feel great now. Like, I love it. And so he's really changed my relationship with food. Like, I never feel guilty because like he doesn't say, he's never once made me feel bad about my free meals or my weight or how I look. And he's very careful in what he says. Like when I first started with him, he was just like, yeah, we have to recomp and lose some body fat, which was such a good way to put it. Cause some coaches will straight up say that you're fat. Like I inquired with other coaches and one coach was like, yeah, like we're kind of fat right now, or like, blah, blah, we're skinny fat. And I'd be like, no.
That's awful. Especially someone that you don't know, just saying like, yeah, you should lose some weight, you're fat. Like,
yeah.
How do you think they would take it if someone said that to them? Like,
I don't know. And I can't imagine that now. Like Justin would never. He is so careful about everything.
No, he would never. I think what's interesting, like, cause like Kate, like I know, like, so the bodybuilding space, like in terms of like bodybuilding coaches, like real bodybuilding coaches, that is like a very common thing to say to the athletes. Like,
and
a lot.
Like, oh my God, they'll be like, oh,
you're
like
fat right now.
You're fat and stuff like that. I can't. I always like post about that. I cannot. Like, I don't know. Like, I know a girl who her coach says how he talks and it works for her. If I was in prep and my coach said, "Oh, we're still fat," I'm pulling out. Like I could, like no.
It's just like it doesn't make anyone else feel better, and it's like not that that word "fat" is like this terrible word, but like when it's used in that way, it is insulting, and it's like it's meant to be seen as a negative. It's meant to be seen as bad, and they say it all the time in the bodybuilding space. But I'm so happy that your experience with Justin and TM has been really transformative in terms of creating that healthy relationship with food. And you're also like creating a domino effect, like by bringing this, you know, kind of mentality into the free meals with your friends, which I think is so impactful and so powerful. And I'm so proud of you for that. And I feel as though with bodybuilding, it, to your point, when you originally had said like, oh, I had thought it was like disordered, right? And the thing is bodybuilding absolutely can be disordered, and it can very much so kind of walk that fine line. And I think the way that we are trying to do bodybuilding here at TM is likely the healthiest it will ever be for an athlete's mental. And it's like, we have these conversations all the time, like kind of almost like screening a client. Like, is this even a safe idea? And like, make sure that it's the right fit for them. Because at the end of the day, if someone wants to do bodybuilding, they're going to go do it. So we might as well try to reframe the approach in a way that is the healthiest it can be for the athletes who can sustain it. Because, you know, I'm sure there are other reasons aside from just liking, you know, training and nutrition that you are doing bodybuilding. And there's a purpose behind it that's a little bit deeper than that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Like, what kind of is your why for bodybuilding? What keeps you going on those hard days when you're managing that really challenging schedule that you have with your really challenging job that you have and the intensive cardio protocols you have right now? What keeps you going?
Yeah, it's like right now, the past, I think and honestly, prep has not been bad. I'm 14 weeks out now and it got bad 2 weeks ago when we started bumping cardio. Food has stayed the same, which
Okay.
but if it drops, like that's okay. Like I understand that I have to do what I have to do to get stage lean.
Yeah.
And right now I am natural. I'm not utilizing any PEDs. And so I've got to do what I got to do when it comes to a diet and cardio standpoint. So if that means slow food and high cardio.
Yeah, it does. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I like, it's kind of like the same with track. Like I just love to be part of a team and an athlete in a sport because I've been in sports since I was little. It's a part of who I am. And so when I stopped playing sports, like that gap between college and now, I needed something competitive, something to challenge me. I'm someone who needs to be busy at all times. Like what I'm doing now, it's nuts. Like literally, I'm not full-time a nurse anymore because like I cannot. I love nursing, but it's too demanding because I also have my own online business that I do. And then I'm in school full-time and then I'm prepping. And so that's a lot. And so, but that over the past few weeks, I've been picking up while I still have energy so that like I can save up for prep if I need it. If like Justin wants me to do like other shows, like money won't be an issue. So I just like, I don't know. I just love being a part of a team and being an athlete. I love the aspect. Bodybuilding is very similar to track, as in you get in what you put out. And so if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get lucky and just, no, you have to put in the work to get the results. And I love that it makes you take things to the next level. Like in prep, you really have to push when you don't have a lot of energy, you're doing a lot of cardio. And I might be eating a lot, but I'm burning it off with steps and with cardio. And then like working, I'm burning it all off because I'm still eating, what is it, 2,600, which is a lot of food, but it feels like 900 calories, let me tell you. I really have to dig deep because I've got 4 leg days and 1 upper day, and
that's brutal.
Some days if I work night shift, I gotta go lift and do cardio, go into work all night, sleep, repeat. If I work the morning shift, I have to get up at 3 a.m., eat, do, train, cardio, go to work, study after work at night, like revolving door. But I know that if I keep working hard, that I am going to reach my goals. And I have like crazy goals. I really don't share them because I guess I don't want to be like judged. That sounds silly. And I'm like one of those people that like has those crazy delusional goals. But I think those are the people that are successful because if you believe in yourself to that level, like you can accomplish anything. Like I know it. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to win the Olympia one day. It might not be anytime soon, but one day I will win the Olympia. I know that I have what it takes to get to the top, the discipline. I don't care how low or how high food or cardio has to get. I don't care how much training I have to do. If I have to do 8 leg days, like I would, because I just love it. Like I love the delayed gratification, like especially being in prep, just seeing like all my hard work pay off. Like every day there's like a new line. And I just love it. And I feel like my body was truly made for the sport because I'm able to still eat a lot and still have like freaking crumble. I had mini crumble cookies yesterday for every meal. And it doesn't do anything. Like I lost 2 pounds from that actually.
Metabolic machine over here. Yeah.
It's going really good. So I love bodybuilding. I honestly like it more than track, which says a lot because I loved track.
I was going to say that must be a lot then because you clearly dedicated a good chunk of your life to track. So that's really, really incredible.
I love it. And I love like, it's just so cool like that we can do this to our bodies and how you can manipulate your body with food and water and sodium and training. And it's just unbelievable. Like I love it. It's so rewarding. And I have met some of like my best lifelong friends bodybuilding. And now we're all on the same team because Faith got me here. And then I got my 2 other friends, Kate and Allie, to join. And so we're all like on the same team and we all like live around each other. So like we can train together and like take our free meals and like, it's great. I probably honestly coerced them to like, they were both leaving coaches. And I was like, told Justin, I said, I know you're not taking people, but like, please help my friend.
You gotta take these ones.
And like, they like got on a call and they were like, should I talk to other coaches? And I'm like, you can, but like, I don't think you should. Like, Justin is like the only option. And they're like, okay, I'll sign up. And I said, yeah, you should sign up for like a whole year. And now they're like all in. Like my friend, Allie, she was really struggling. She's doing amazing now, night and day. One day with Justin, like she got her meal plan And I almost cried. I was so happy for her because she was not used to that. Like she was like, oh my God, like I get chocolate and I get this much almond butter. And she's like, I get 2 free meals and all this stuff. And she's like, I can take a rest day like if I need, and I can do all of this. Like I just can't believe it. And like Kate the other day was like, I can't believe like we'll get 2 free meals. Like we're going to the beach next weekend. And she's like, we can take them together and like he's not gonna be mad at us. And I'm like, yeah, it's great.
That makes me so happy. It sounds like, coming from like former coaches that maybe handle things a little different, maybe more bro style, like, teach their own, coming here is like, a breath of fresh air in some ways. Like, oh, I can kind of be a person and a bodybuilder at the same time. Like that's kind of the balance that you want to be able to find.
And you should pat yourself on the back, Kelly, because a lot of it comes from you. Because he's always like, yeah, like I learned this from Kelly, and I can see it in the way that you talk to your clients about food. And that's really helped me too with the whole, like, just not feeling guilty. I remember I went on a trip and I ate intuitively and I like felt okay about it because like some of the stuff that you post, and I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And like a lot of the stuff that you post, like I'll like talk to my friends about it, and I'm like, dude, like it's really like not that big of a deal. And like it's just so helpful. Like you have a big impact too, and I hope that you know that. You know what I mean? That's especially like all of my friends, we've all came from disordered eating backgrounds, and it's just been so helpful. And like Justin's coaching, he's almost like a big brother. It's like
that's a
big
good
brother slash like dad vibes. Like it's just awesome. Like it's never like he has never once like hurt my feelings, but he pushes me and challenges me. Like he's freaking awesome. Like I will literally be with Justin until like I stop. I'll probably be like 80 still bodybuilding.
I know, right?
Like I'll still be with him because he's great and like he knows my body. And I took a free meal with him when I met him in Austin, and it was great. Me and Faith were eating so much, and we like went to the bathroom and we are like, should we stop eating? He's probably like, what? Like we just like kept ordering and getting food, and he did not care. He didn't say anything.
No.
We were just, like eating like, and we were both in prep, and he was fine with it. And I'm like, yeah, like this is perfect.
Yeah, no, oh my God, thank you so much for your kind words. That means the world to me. And I'm so happy that you feel that way. And it's been awesome to see Justin kind of step into this like new like headspace with coaching. And I think it kind of happened after like maybe a year. It was about a year ago. We had a conversation at dinner at Eddie V's about intuitive eating, disordered eating, and what we needed to do different on our end at TM. And like ever since that conversation, I've seen him really just be so willing to learn more about, more flexibility and how can we keep the athlete's relationship with food as healthy as possible while still having like a very successful prep or a very successful off season in terms of progression from like the athletic standpoint. And it's been really awesome to see that growth. And I think that just in general, like hearing, that you have been able to have a good experience with him. I love that because, and I want people to hear like when Justin is doing well and doing good things, because I feel like he gets like, the Reddit threads and things can be.
Oh my God. Yes.
Kind. And I'm like, he's actually really awesome. Like,
yes,
he does so
like, I don't think, and I think too, that's another reason why I was hesitant about coaching with him. Cause
absolutely.
I was on Reddit and I was like,
yeah,
oh no. Yeah. And like my friend too, she was like, bro, they're tearing him to shreds on Reddit. And then I was like, yeah, but he is like not like that at all. Like, and even my friend said the other day, she's with another coach. She was like, wow, like he like, it's like changing the way people prep. Like, I love it. She was like, I don't get it. Like you are eating your free meals and just doing all this and like you're in prep. And I'm like, yeah, like it's fine. You can still get lean and have like your free meals and eat things like almond butter. Like it's not the end of the, like you don't have to be on this silly little tilapia asparagus diet, eating that all day to like get lean. You know what I mean? And I wish like those threads like weren't a thing because he's an amazing coach. And like just like I don't know, people have this false perception of him and it makes me so sad because he's like a great guy. Like I was on a bodybuilding trip a few weeks ago, someone like said something. They were like, oh, like you're with Mahaley. I'm like, yeah, like I love it. And they're like, oh, are you sure about that? And I'm like, yeah,
that's a very sure things.
I was like, I'm very sure about that. Like he's great. Like I would not choose any other coach like ever. So
I know. I love that. And so we'll have to
there's just trolls on Reddit and they love to stir things up, and
Reddit is so like bad. Like I don't know who
I looked at. I'm like, what?
We did this
just,
like prep for a podcast.
Even outside of just him, like what is Reddit? I'm like, what are all these people complaining
I know.
about?
What is it?
Sometimes anything like I have a friend who uses Reddit. I'm like, that is not a news source. She'll be like, well, on Reddit, I'm like, if you don't like,
Yeah.
If you don't get a credible source up in this bitch right now, I am gonna no, I know.
If it doesn't have .org after it, don't come to me for it.
Don't even waste our time. No, I know. It's crazy. But no, I'm so glad you've had a positive experience, Raven. And I think it's really amazing to see your evolution as an athlete and see how your relationship with food has, it sounds like to me, continued to progress, and just the way that you kind of view fueling and your body and your relationship with your body, really looking at it from a standpoint of, how can I best, perform, and how can I best, fuel my body to perform best. And like, I think in bodybuilding, people think all we do is get lean for a show. And like, that's not necessarily the case. It's like a lot of it is spent like fueling, trying to build muscle, trying to protect that muscle, and, get to a place where we can be competitive on stage. And it's like, there can be definitely a lot more wiggle room for flexibility, and you don't have to do these crazy unhealthy preps, as you've just spoken. And thank you for sharing, like, 2,600 calories in a prep. For those that aren't aware of numbers, like that's a really good spot to be. And like, yeah, just being able to move forward with bodybuilding in a healthy way and with a healthy mindset towards food and exercise.
I love food. Like, I love food. Like, I was at my free meal last night and I was just like smiling, and my mom was like, are you okay? I'm like, I just love food. And I was like saying, I love how bodybuilding makes me romanticize food again, because I'm on a meal plan, which I like, because then when you have like a free meal or something different, it's just like so good. And it's just like awesome. Like, and so I was just eating the food. And I was just like, I love food. Like, I love food. And I don't look at it as a bad thing anymore, which is so good. Like, I'm never worried about like, because I know you're supposed to be hungry in prep. And so like, we'll talk about hunger and check-ins. And Justin said the other day, well, like, oh, like we maybe can get a bump in food. And I was like, yeah. I was like, because like, I don't know. I love food. And I love that it's not like a trigger or something that is going to like make me upset anymore. And I love that I can help my friends with their relationship with it. Like, because I still have some friends that I kind of have to nurse through it. I'm like, dude, like, they'll be like, I think this is like too much for a free meal. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not like we're at like a freaking unlimited buffet and like grazing all day. Like, we ate all our meals, we did our cardio, we trained, and now we're eating our free meal. And I'm like, you're hungry, like you need to eat. And like, if you want the slice of pizza, like have it, because you would rather have the slice of pizza now, or you don't have it and you have a salad and it's next week and you accidentally ate a whole jar of peanut butter because you like stopped yourself. And that's what happens. I think free meals, people get scared that they're going to overdo it. And so that they make it like this. And if you want it to be like healthy and super clean, do that. But I think it should be something that you want, because it will be in your mind later. Like, I never have a thought that I want to eat anything off plan, because for my free meal, I am going to eat something that I want. And most of the time it's just Chick-fil-A. Like, I don't know what it is with Chick-fil-A. I swear that's like all I crave most of the time.
Yeah.
Chicken sandwich, fries.
And what's your order? Yeah, chicken sandwich, fries. I love it.
Large fry though.
Large fry. That's essential. And let me guess, do you get a Dr. Pepper on the side, or you lemonade?
They only have diet. I don't like the zero sugar is like elite. So I would just get like a Coke Zero from there, but I like zero sugar Dr. Pepper. Like, you guys know, I literally go through that 12-pack. I probably go through that in a week. I try to have less now, because I'm drinking so much. We up water to like 6 liters, which is
yeah.
So I try to only have like 2, but I could drink I love those things. The strawberry ones and coconut.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, it's like amazing. It's just like the best thing ever. I will like take them to restaurants wholeheartedly with my free meal, and servers are like,
why do you have a can of Dr. Pepper Zero?
And I'm like, because you don't have it. Like, so I need to have it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I think about that. Well, Raven, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time out of your incredibly busy schedule to chat with us. I think that your story is so inspiring, and I think it's going to resonate with so many people. So thank you for being you, and thank you for making time to come on today.
Yeah, of course. It was so much fun. I like doing this. I feel like professional on like a podcast. Like
I love it. I love it. We'll have to have
That's
you
how
back.
we feel too. So
I know, yeah, we're like, oh, this is real. We'll have to have you back on and maybe do a whole pod on like chatting about your career path that you want to kind of head in, and like kind of how we've been discussing in future, how we may integrate Raven here at TM with her expertise in psych. So I think that could be a whole nother hour long topic. I think that could be so
6
fun.
more months. And I will not be a bedside nurse. I'm chugging along. I start clinical next week. I'm so excited though, because I get to go. I'm starting at an eating disorder clinic. So I'm like, I am freaking pumped up and fired up.
You're gonna love it. You're going to love it because number one, if it's an interest and passion for you, it's going to be so fun to learn. But also, like, you're just going to be such a good fit there. Like, you're just going to be the light in people's day that they need there. So I'm so excited.
I'm excited. I hope that I won't be like a trigger, because it's that population is very sensitive. And I'm learning at the hospital in the ER, we see a lot of psych, and I also do behavioral mental health. Some things are a trigger, like exercise and stuff. So you have to be very careful, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I have to make sure that I am being really good with my verbiage and words, because I've been there. But this is like a deeper level than I ever was. Like I didn't have to go to a hospital to get care. But I'm excited to just be support, because I mean, it's like I didn't even know. It's like ages 7 to 13 is what I'll be working with.
Oh yeah,
that's really sad for like anorexia. Lots of ARFID too.
Oh gosh. So I might actually have my first ARFID case as a client next week, which I'm actually really excited about. They're really fun like cases to work with. But yes, to your point, working with the peds population for ED it's hard. But I know the position that you're currently in is also emotionally very challenging. So I don't know if this is going to be like, oh, a shock to you, or like, oh, this is what I deal with like on a fairly regular basis. But
I think, yeah, I have like, at first it was really hard. I would have breakdowns every day. Cause like in the bar in Atlanta, child abuse, murders, gunshot, like it's bad. And so I learned how to still support and show up for each patient, but not take it home. I was taking it home, and my mom was like, you cannot do that. And I wasn't able to show up for the next patient because I was just so distraught. But now it's, oh my God, it's crazy. I was talking to my friend the other day. It's like you walk into a room at 7 a.m. and it's like, okay, time of death, 7:05 a.m. Then you have to, do all the postmortem care, flip it around, go see the next patient who might be here for something simple like they just need a rabies shot because they got bit by a dog, or like a really happy baby. So you have to go from giving empathy to a family to being like bubbly and like doing the veggie dance and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a lot, but you have to take care of yourself. Like I had to go to therapy because I didn't think I was going to make it at first. I was like, this is so sad.
Don't blame you. I have a lot of respect for you that you can continue in that field. And I know you're making a positive impact, even in the worst of cases. You know that you are that person that can be somewhat of a, positive in that. But it's a lot. So you have to take care of yourself. So I'm proud of you for, if you were going to therapy and continuing to do that. And like, hopefully like bodybuilding can also be like a positive outlet too, to like,
oh yes,
stress
every day. Sometimes I save it for after work, even if I have to stay up a little later, just because like I'll be so excited to do that. Or if I go in before, I usually like split it up because I have so much to do. I'll like do cardio before or like train after. It's like it helps like me like relieve stress, and it's just like my thing. I love it. On rest days, I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life? Because Justin will be like, we're gonna have 3 rest days in a row, and I'll be like no,
where do I go now? Yeah, no, I totally get that. No, that's good though. I'm so glad that you have that as positive, and that can be helpful, even though I know you're really busy. So,
but I love to be busy. The busier, the better. I need a full schedule at all times. Like today, jam packed, full of stuff. But I love it that way. I don't want to. I just need to be busy at all times because like life is so short, and this sounds so like bad, but people are dying fast and dropping like flies, and you never know when like your last day is.
Oh, absolutely.
I try to keep every day full of so much stuff. Like I'm doing so much, but I'm not burnt out because I sleep like an infant. Like
yeah, you probably hit that bed and you're like knocked out for the.
I sleep like 10 hours every night, and so it's really helpful. Yeah, and I do little things that make me happy. Like I go and get coffee, and surprisingly, I can still have like lattes and stuff. So it's that latte that I do it like every other day. is the glue that keeps, I just get so excited. Like I'll be there like ready. Like
I feel that. That's like honestly, like not to be like my only motivation to get to my training sessions in the morning, but a big part of it. I'm like, I get my latte on the way. And like that's a great vibe. Like it's a whole thing. So I'm with you on that. A latte.
but thank you guys for having me. Like this was really fun, just like chit chatting. I probably talked y'all's ear off. Yeah, I did.
No, you did amazing.